update now from the sports desk. Clos resurgence has him on a mission, and that's to win gold at next year's Paris Olympics, 12 years after his first tasting of Olympic success in London. The Clos is buoyed by a purple patch that includes double gold at the World Short Course Championships in Melbourne last year. There was also success at last month's national champs, including a 13th national title in the 200-meter butterfly, which was among his wins at Gqeberha. eNCA's Hloni Mtimkulu was poolside with the Clos, who was open about the ebbs and flows of his life.
We keep talking to you just about the wins that you've had, I think especially since the short course last year. And I would say you're well and truly back now. At what point in the last few months, I guess, would you say that you realized that the comeback was actually happening?
It's a good question. I think for me, I've had such a hard 2 years, since COVID, and defeat after defeat after defeat. And I think after Commonwealth Games, I made a change on coaching, and I was just done with losing, really, and I was just done with being a victim of the circumstances that I was having, because I had a really hard time. I had a lot of personal troubles, and I suffered with a lot of different things. And I think I just came out of it, and I just reminded myself that I was a champion, and that I had to come back from this, because all the great champions have had adversity in their lives, and this was a really tough challenge for me to come back, especially at the age that I'm at, in swimming. And I think it was October last year, middle of October, where I got that win in the World Cup, and I beat the former world champ in the heat, and I'm like, okay, Clos 2.0 is born, let's go. I just ran with that, and I think since then I've been undefeated, really. I haven't lost a race in 6 months, and hoping to continue that. And look, it's going to be a difficult summer at the World Championships, and if I can just get on the podium this time around, and winning the Olympics next year is obviously a dream again of mine. And what a story that'll be, 12 years later, 32 years of age, the king is back. It would be amazing. Just
you talk about the run that you've been on since the end of last year. How much of an impact, or how much does that drive what you want to achieve in Paris next year?
It's always been there, the drive has always been there, but I think now it's just really reignited, because when you're in a slump, right, and when you're in a bad place mentally, I promise you it's the hardest thing in the world to get out of. The physical aspects you could get through. The World Championships last year was nothing to do with physical. That was all mental. That was a mental switch that I made. That was, I got rid of a few things in my life which weren't working. I just came out there and I just executed, and I just reminded myself that what I did the sport for the love of competition, for the love of trying to win, for the pursuit of greatness, even when sometimes it's not achievable.
We spoke to Tatiana earlier, and she was just talking about the adjustment she had to make after all that success came. She wasn't expecting it.
Tatiana experienced what I experienced after 2012, and man, it's hard, right? Because you get everything you wanted in a couple hours. Your life changes in a couple hours. You walk into the pool at 6 o'clock as, a nobody, so to speak, and you come out as the best thing since sliced bread, right? And that goes on for a long time, and I think you have that attention everywhere you go, and you have that target on your back, right? And the expectation is immense. It's not an easy time to be a champion, and I think I carried that burden for many years. I mean, it's not easy, and I think it's sad to say, but the most unhappy times of my life were after the Olympic gold, not before. I was happy after I won the Olympics, but 3-4 years later, like when you're just in that rut, it's not easy to get out of that, because you have the expectation, the pressure of people. After the Olympics in Paris, in Tokyo, I'm going out, and after everything, and I'm having people tell me, oh, you've had a good run, Chad, you should retire. And they're not doing that to be mean. I'm looking at these guys, I almost want to slap them. What did you say to me? They're not meaning it in a bad way, but it's just how people think. And I'm like, do you know how hard it is for me as a warrior, as a competitor, to hear people say that to me? Like, it's tough, man. When you right here for 8, 9 years, 10 years, and then people telling you should retire, it's a tough thing to have, And I think the ups and downs of sport, you have to realize, you have to make your highs not too high and your lows not too low.
How has Germany been? Have you had any restrictions in terms of where you can swim and when you can swim?
No. Look, Germany's been great. Look, let me just say this. It's very hard, because it's a sacrifice for me. I love South Africa. Everyone knows that. I want to be home. I want to be in Cape Town. I want to be in Durban. I want to be home, man. I have to be in Germany because we don't have the facilities, you know. And unfortunately, I can't go swim at altitude, and you know, I have problems with my breathing. I cannot go swim there, you know. But everywhere else, it's saturated. You know, the facilities are not. There's no 50-meter pools, you know, and you know, I have a phenomenal coach, and I'm very grateful for what I have there, and I love my team in Germany, but I miss my country, man. You know, bring Chad home after the next Olympics, please. Hashtag bring Chad home.
Okay, I want to wrap up with, I think, 2 or 3 questions in one. You know, you talk about you want to come back, the lack of resources. There was also the ISL that you were part of, and swimmers wanting to take ownership of their own events.
Yeah.
We spoke to Tatiana again, and she wasn't sure if she was going to take part in the World Champs because she's talking about it's an expense for her.
Yes.
Just what lessons have you learned about that and the decisions that athletes, swimmers have to make in terms of all of those sorts of things, owning their sport, having to pay their own way to events and that sort of thing, and just the return that you get for all the things that you put out?
Look, the return you get for swimming is very minimal. I mean, look, me and Tatiana, I mean, I'm not sure how she's doing, but look, we're going to be okay, right? Because we're Olympic champions, we have sponsors, but we make nothing compared to the rugby and soccer players and cricket players. You know, I remember many years, man, when I was winning the World Cups, multiple World Cups, I was getting on the plane. I remember Hashim Amla, Graham Smith, we were walking on the Emirates flight, and we were busy talking, and they're like, hey, where are you going? I said, oh, I'm in the back. They go, what do you mean you're in the back? They're like, you're not first class? I said, are you business then? I said, no, I'm economy. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, well, mate, we have to pay for our own flights, you know. It's what we're accustomed to having, unfortunately, here in South Africa. You know, it's criminal because we pro rata are the best in the country. We're one of the best in the world. We have 3,000 swimmers, and we have how many world champions, how many Olympic champions? And we still have to pay for our own way, you know. It cost me $10,000 just to get to the World Championships in Melbourne. That's out of pockets for me and my coach. $10,000, 180,000 rand it cost me to get to the World Champs, to win double gold. That's how much it cost me.